What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight Australia, Season 9, Episode 13. So, this was the second commitment ceremony of the season, and we're going to start off with Brent and Tamara. So, before the commitment ceremony, we see that they are sleeping in separate rooms again. Tamara now has moved to another room. Before it was Brent, now it's Tamara. And this is stemming from the fight that they had that started with the volume of the television. Now, obviously, it wasn't about the volume of the television. It was just, okay, so a little bit of background on the fight. Evidently, it seems like Brent was watching TV or listening to music on the TV, and Tamara was getting ready to go to bed, and so she had asked him to put down the volume, and the volume was put down to the point where he couldn't hear it anymore. So he got upset with her, I guess, for being bossy, telling him what to do, or whatever the situation was. The bottom line was I think he was trying to push back against her authoritative nature, because he sees that she is someone that could probably just run all over him. And he is really trying hard to resist that because she just has this very alpha type personality, like she's a bit bossy. She wants things to go her way. So he's trying to fight back against that. That's the way I see it. And I could be wrong, but that's the way that I see it. So at the commitment ceremony, Tamara tells the experts that Brent does have a temper and he does have some very serious mood swings. Now, the one thing about this show, I don't know if it was like this in the previous season that I had watched, but season 9 to me seems very rushed. And I don't know if it's because it's so many couples and we have to go through so many stories, and that's why it feels rushed, because I don't feel like we have enough footage of them living their day to day lives unless they're having major conflict like Holly and Andrew. But I wish we could see more of how they are with each other just one on one, not at the dinner party, not during a commitment ceremony, just how they are one on one with each other. But, anyways, so at the commitment ceremony, Tamara says that Brent has a really bad temper and he has very serious mood swings. Brent says that the TV fight was a result of a lot of built up frustration, and he said that Tamara talks down to him and that during their fight, she even called him a very derogatory name. Tamara completely denied it, and I guess, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe in the heat of the argument, she could have called him something, but then she forgot that she had called him something. But it's just so crazy how they have completely different. Obviously, when people are fighting it, they're going to have very different versions of exactly what happened and what was said and what was done. But she completely denied calling him a derogatory name. And there was also an argument about whether or not one of them was using profanity. I think Tamara was accusing Brent of using profanity, and he completely denied that. So Brent admits that he does have mood swings, but he also said that she's a very difficult person to deal with or to live with. And I think she's probably difficult to live with because, in her career, she is a person of authority. And I think she brings that nature into her relationship. And I don't think that living with Brent is a walk in the park either. I think he's also difficult to deal with. He's very like I feel like both of them have very dominant personalities, and they both have to get their point across, and they both have to be proven that they're right. And so I think that's sort of like a very that can create like a very combustible type of relationship, because when one of them gets high, the other one wants to get higher. Instead of trying to calm each other down, or one person remains more calm than the other, they're both like on a 10, and it can get really vicious. I think that if they continue on with this path, their fights are going to be very explosive. So they both decide that they want to stay together. I guess they want to work out their issues. And Brent says that what he needs from Tamara is he needs more positivity, and he wants her to allow him to be himself. And I wish there was more said about that. I don't know if she's trying to change him into something else, because when they first met, she really wasn't crazy about his line of work. So I don't know if she's trying to like build him up into the man of her dreams, someone who is in the corporate world and is making a whole bunch of money. I don't know what he meant by that. I don't think enough information was given to us as far as why he felt the need to say that he wants Tamara to allow him to be himself. Tamara needs from him more patience in him dealing with her, and she also needs from him more communication. And she said that she wants him to tell her if something is bothering him, if he's frustrated about something. He doesn't have to let everything build up and then it just comes out into this really ugly fight. So if something about what she did or what she said bothers him, she wants him to communicate that right away. So those are the two things that they're going to try to work on with each other, hopefully. Moving on to Sam and Al. So Sam found out that when the other couples had declined doing the intimacy tasks, she felt like Al pressured her into doing the kissing task. And that's what was said on the show. But she didn't really expound on that. But I felt like, no, not really. I don't feel like, I don't know why people feel like they have no power or they have no say so. If she didn't want to do something, if she felt truly uncomfortable with it, she should have just told him and not do it. I don't know why she felt this pressure to do something she didn't feel comfortable doing. And he told her, and even when they were doing the kissing task, he asked her if she was okay with it, if she really wanted to do. I mean, he was trying to make it as comfortable as possible and give her as much choice as possible. But she said that she still felt like he pressured her into it. I guess, when she realized that she had an out, she could have just declined it. So Alec was very confused about this because after they did the kissing challenge or the kissing task, she said that she felt fine. So at the commitment ceremony, the experts noticed that Al's whole personality has completely changed, probably because, this relationship has completely sucked the life out of him. But his personality has definitely changed. He's a lot more quiet. He's not as rambunctious. He's not as loud. They said that he is no longer the life of the party like he was at the first commitment ceremony. Al has definitely changed. Relationships can definitely do that to you. So he said that intimacy week was very hard for him. I guess because they're trying to learn each other. Sam says that, she wants someone who's a little bit more dominant, more take charge. And he's sort of like, tiptoeing around her, like trying to figure out, is it okay for him to come closer and whatever. So Sam says that she's not going to make out with him because he hasn't even earned it yet. And that she was uncomfortable with the kissing. And the expert, I think it was Alessandra, said to her, if you were uncomfortable, you should have just said so. Anytime that you don't feel comfortable with something, just communicate that, and you don't have to do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing. I was sort of confused about that because when they did the kissing task, it really didn't look like she was uncomfortable to me. I mean, if she was faking it, she did a damn good job because, she was like pulling his head in. It looked like she was very, very comfortable with it. I didn't get that at all. So I'm a little bit shocked that now she's saying that she felt pressured, that she didn't know that she had a choice to back out of it. She wasn't comfortable. He didn't earn it. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Sam doesn't want Al to feel like she doesn't like him. I'm very confused about Sam. I'm so confused. And maybe this is the reason why Al feels like he has to tiptoe around her, because he's not really sure where she's at. It seems like one minute she's all in and like the next minute she's kind of pulling back. I don't know. But they both decided to stay with one another. Good luck to them. Now we're moving on to Selena and Cody. So they announced to the group that they consummated their marriage. Things are looking up for them. They are really getting along. I really wanted Cody to talk more. I wanted to get deep into Cody's mind to see like how things are progressing with him, how his feelings are changing for Selena. Why are they changing for Selena? Like, what's really going on here? Is it just because she's a warm body, or is it because he's really developing feelings for her? But he didn't really say much in this episode, but they also both decided to stay with each other. So good luck to both of them on that. Moving on to Celine and Anthony. Now, okay, the thing about Celine and Anthony is that Celine is one of my least favorite people on the show, but Anthony's like probably my favorite. So I have very mixed feelings about this couple. I feel very protective of Anthony, and I have a very like don't care attitude about Celine. So even when Anthony moved in, when he moved back into the apartment with Celine, I distinctly remember he had his own bedroom. I think she showed him where his room was. I think he had his own bedroom and his own bathroom. But when this episode started, episode 13, they were sleeping in the same bed. And so I was like, wow, okay, that was a turn of events. They're moving like full speed ahead now. So at the commitment ceremony, not much was said. They both decided to stay. If it was said, I forgot what it was, but they both decided to stay. I just want to know what happened. He was going to sleep in his own room, and then they're waking up in the morning in the same bed. Like, what transpired to cause that? Moving on to Holly and Andrew. So the big question at the beginning of the episode and at the end of the previous episode was whether or not Andrew was going to show up for the commitment ceremony. Something I felt like he was. I really didn't think that he was going to leave the whole entire experiment, but he did. Andrew is gone, y'all. He is out of there. So when we see Andrew, he's like packing up. He's fixing to get out of there. He's leaving Dodge. Andrew says that Holly doesn't fit with the mold of who he wants in his and his daughter's life. And I'm wondering like what, okay, maybe they just didn't gel. Okay, there's nothing really wrong with him. There's nothing really wrong with her. They just didn't gel together. Maybe that's what the issue is because I don't understand what was so bad about Holly that he didn't even want to give this experiment a chance. I felt like he should have given it a chance and then at the end of it all make the decision of whether or not they can go on together. But it seemed like he didn't even want to give it a chance at all. He was just I don't know what was so bad about Holly. Like I'm really trying to figure it out. She does tend to get emotional when they are having their conflict or their issues, but I felt like I didn't think it was that bad at all. I mean, they did have some pretty bad fights. I don't know. So at the commitment ceremony, it's just Holly by herself. Holly said that she had no idea that Andrew wouldn't show up because there was no communication between them. Holly's heart was broken when she didn't have the support of the group because when she walked into the dinner party, Andrew had already polluted everybody's mind, and so they all saw her as the villain. So Holly actually wrote a letter to the group, and then she was given the opportunity to read it. So when she read the letter, she spoke a lot about feeling alone, feeling attacked, feeling judged. And some of the women in the group were actually crying when she read this letter. She said that Andrew silenced her, but she's finally now found her voice. I kind of understand where she's talking about when she said that Andrew silenced her because he had a very domineering personality. And he kind of like just came into this marriage like a bulldozer. And he really didn't allow her to just shine. She was very much overshadowed by his really big personality. So I understand when she says that towards the end, she was able to finally find her voice. After she read her letter, everybody clapped for her. Olivia, now this is what really got me. Okay, so Olivia and Jackson, they're like the golden couple, right? So far, because they're getting along really well and they seem to know how to communicate with each other and to problem solve and all of that. So they're like the golden couple, but I don't like them. I just don't like them. I would rather see Andrew and Holly any day than watch Olivia and Jackson because it's just they've let their heads get so big because they feel like they're the perfect couple compared to everybody else. Like they're doing everything right. And also what I don't like about them is that they're kind of like boastful about it. They're kind of like they like to show off about the fact that they are getting along so well. So when poor Holly read her letter, Olivia was making faces like, she really didn't buy anything that Holly was saying. And Olivia says, because she was asked by the experts, why are you making those faces? What's going on over there? And Olivia says that she believes that Andrew had apologized, that he took accountability for all of his actions, but Holly was not willing to accept any of it. And that Holly was very dismissive of his attempts to make things right. I think that Holly knew that Andrew was putting on a show, which I feel like he was as well. In public and in front of everybody else, he's the poor victim. But then in private, he can get kind of brutal. And the way that he talks to her, like, was very cutthroat. It wasn't necessarily like abusive. He wasn't using bad language, but the way he just had a way of saying things that I felt like he wasn't. I feel like that. She didn't deserve. Like, he talked to her in a way that she didn't deserve. If she was like dishing it and he was dishing it, then you got to just accept that. That's just the rules of the game. If you're gonna dish it, you got to take it. But she wasn't even doing that. I felt like he should have dealt with her in a much gentler manner, and that he should have really been very, very cautious of his words and how he was presenting himself to her. But he just didn't care. Like, he would talk to her like he would talk to a dude in the street. Just very blunt, just very matter of fact, like not caring at all on whether or not the way that he's saying things is going to hurt her feelings. He just really didn't care. And I felt like he should have been a lot more gentler with her. A lot more gentler. So Olivia said that Holly hasn't been 100% of an adult. She hasn't been acting like an adult. I don't know what Olivia meant by that. The experiment was a reminder for Holly to believe in herself and that she herself is enough, that she doesn't really need anyone. And whatever Olivia had to say, I thought was absolutely pointless because Holly's leaving. So why couldn't you just sit there, listen to the woman, let her have her piece, and then, send her off and just be like that, instead of you having to like twist that give that knife that last twist in her back before she left. But this was the end of Holly, obviously when Andrew left, she had to leave. So they all said goodbye to Holly, and good luck to Holly and all of her endeavors and whatever she wants to do in her life. Moving on to Olivia and Jackson. So Olivia and Jackson, Olivia said that she's very smitten over Jackson and that he exceeded all of her expectations in a partner. She even got emotional when she was talking about him. She said that she had never felt this way about anyone before, that she's never had these feelings before. And so this is like unfamiliar territory with her. I guess, she was trying to hint at the fact that she's falling in love with Jackson. And she got even more emotional when she talked about her father, because I think her father passed away, and she said that she really wished that her father was there to witness her finding her true love. Moving on to Dominica and Jack. And they decided obviously to stay together. Moving on to Dominica and Jack. So at the commitment ceremony, Dominica said that she wants more affirmations. I feel like Dominica suffers from like low self-esteem, and I don't think, and I think that she's depending on Jack to build her self-esteem, and that's not going to work at all. You cannot depend on someone else to make you feel better about yourself. You need to just find that within yourself. But I feel like that's what she's doing. Like, she's constantly looking to him to validate her, to make her feel worthy, to make her feel attractive, to make her feel wanted, to make her feel desirable. And you just got to show up like that, Dominica. You have to feel that you are those things for someone to see those things in you. You can't be all, down on yourself, all down and out about yourself, and then expect someone else to look at that and be like, oh my God, you're so attractive. No, you got to be that girl that's got it going on like that. But that's what I feel like. I think that I think that Jack, even though he's not expressing it, I think Jack is struggling living with Dominica. I think Dominica needs, I don't know. I really don't. I was going to say, I think she needs a man with a much bolder personality. And I think maybe Jack is a little bit too timid for her, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But nevertheless, they both decided to stay with one another. And then finally, we have Mitch and Ella. So the experts talk about the kissing task, and Mitch said that they don't really kiss a lot, and he hasn't really been all for it, which is so strange to me. Like, I don't understand how you can go as far as being intimate and all whatever that entails, but then you can't even kiss her. I don't get that. So the experts bring up the dinner party and the conversation that they were having and how he has spoken to her because, she was telling him exactly what she needed in the relationship, and he was kind of responding in a way that was very brutal. And I don't remember exactly what was said, but his tone, his attitude was really off. She was like, I need more of this, I need more of that, and he was just like, well, you're just gonna have to accept what I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't want to, give a false narrative of the conversation, but I remember that he wasn't receiving what she was saying, and he wasn't like trying to make her feel better. In fact, he was making her feel worse. He was like very dismissive of what she was saying to him and kind of acting like, like suck it up, buttercup, in the words of Captain Lee, kind of like, well, I can't give you that, so you just have to be happy with whatever I can give you. It was something in those lines. And so the experts got on him for that, and luckily Mitch was like listening to them and understanding what they were saying. And it seems like he's going to try to make some changes. He wasn't being defensive or trying to justify his actions. He was just like, okay, I hear y'all. Now, Mitch, yeah, so they both decided to stay, and hopefully he will change his tone. I think that, what's her name? Ella is beginning to see the stars or the hearts in her eyes are slowly like fading away, and she's beginning to get a very clear picture on who this guy is. And this is the reason why I don't agree with Married at First Sight having couples that are so young. Because if you're in your 20s, why are you struggling finding a decent relationship? You have a long way to go. You have a lot of years ahead of you to try to find the right person. I think Married at First Sight should be for people 35 and up. People who've kind of like been around the block a few times, things haven't worked out, a couple of divorcees or whatever. But I think the reason why this show kind of wants to focus on younger couples, or why they take the chance with younger couples, is because it's less possibility, I think, of them having children. Oh, well, not with Married at First Sight Australia, because it doesn't matter because all of them have kids. But I think Married at First Sight America, I don't think they take people who have children. And I think with that is because they want to have people, there a lesser chance of choosing people who have children. Married at First Sight Australia, they don't care. So if they don't care if people have kids or not, they need to concentrate on older couples, 35 and up. Because I mean, Mitch is young. I don't think he's ready to get married. I don't understand why he's there. I don't think a lot of people in their 20s, of course, there's a lot of people who are ready to get married who are in their 20s. But I think for the most part, I think 20-year-olds, it's okay if they're not married yet. It's okay if they haven't found their person yet, because they're still young and they're still searching and they're still dating around and they're still trying to figure themselves out. So in the process of trying to figure out who they are, now you throw them into an arranged marriage, and these are people who are coming from cultures that are not used to arranged marriages. So it's just all bad. And I think Mitch and Ella is just all bad. I think it was cute in the beginning because they're both extremely attractive people. They're really hot and heavy for each other, but all of that is wearing off. And now you have two young people who are struggling to be in this committed monogamous relationship. And I think that for both of them beginning to see the other, and I think that they're kind of not liking what they're seeing. Like, I think she thinks that he's way too immature, and he probably thinks that she's way too serious. So I don't know about Ella and Mitch. This is a very complicated couple. A very complicated couple. So, yeah. And he just really reminds me of George Michael. I cannot stop. He really reminds me of George Michael, and your girl Dominica really reminds me of Sandra Bernhardt. So that is my review of Married at First Sight Australia, episode 13, the commitment ceremony. If you made it this far in my review, I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe. If you don't like this content, then don't worry about it. But thank you for stopping by anyway, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.